I don't make a gender distinction.
Really?
I know too many women who can kick my ass.
Alexa, what is a gender distinction? Hi, folks. Thanks to Midwit for the request. They actually go by that name. That's not me talking. I don't get many requests these days, which is fair enough, because why would anyone want to hear me and my dodgy takes? But I just got one, so I suppose somebody does. It's time for a simp fight, possibly the first in an ongoing series. No hard feelings, Tucker or Chris. I'm not shaming anyone for being a simp, per se. It's much like victim fights are not fought between victims. It's just the nature of the weapon with which the pissing contest is conducted. Advance warning, this response might not go the way you're expecting it to go. I play the ball where it lies, and I have no fucks left to give. Let's go.
Name one who could kick your ass. So I'm 6'1", or was before I had back surgery.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
We're trying to be real with each other here. You know what I mean?
Well, you're a lot taller than I am. Okay, so I'm just saying. And you're famously a bodybuilder. There's not one woman in America who could kick your ass. It's just not true, and you know it's not true.
Bodybuilders aren't all that strong, right? They're kind of more interested in losing fat than they are about developing functioning muscles. You ever watch that World's Strongest Man competition? Fat bastards, all of them. Because they're not all that interested in looking good for the cameras. They're interested in wrestling bears in the woods. Important difference.
And you have to say it
you
to like
went
make
to the
unhappy,
UFC
unmarried.
fight. You went to the UFC fight. You think you could get in there with the women who are fighting and come out looking like that?
No, I'm saying you specifically.
If we're being specific about Chris Cuomo, again, bodybuilders does not equal UFC fighters. A male bodybuilder could kick a female bodybuilder's ass. A male UFC fighter could kick a female UFC fighter's ass. But we're not comparing like with like. A woman who has sufficient training can effortlessly murder a man who does not, with her bare hands no less. The whole point of martial arts is knowing how to turn your opponent's strength into a weakness. Knowledge is power. You know this, Tucker. You're just choosing to ignore the power that comes with knowing that.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I have a polygraph exam, and I didn't want to have to do this on camera, okay? But if I applied it to you...
I would pass in flying colors because I know how to beat the test. And I can tell you how if you want to know. Okay, that's why they're not admissible in court.
Yeah, he's a seasoned CNN reporter. If he's an expert in anything, it's lying. Although it's almost common knowledge at this point. You beat a polygraph test by micro-puckering your anal sphincter at random intervals, because that's what the test is measuring for, at non-random intervals. So you trick it into know the difference. The more you know.
But can I just ask you, like, you know in your heart you don't actually think there's a single woman.
No, I really do.
What's her name?
I really do. I know. The whole point is that I don't have to know them by person.
Men and women are very different, much more different.
Professional cage fighters and professional news anchors are also very different, at least as different as men and women, to be honest. I do understand generalized statements, but when you say not one woman, it's not a generalization. It's as specific as you can possibly get. And in the arena of dishonesty, you are giving the CNN shill a run for his money.
You know, we spend all of our time on racial differences. Your race, my race, and there are differences between races. There is no difference between races that's a quarter as profound as the difference between sexes.
Absolutely, but that's not what you were talking about.
These are biological differences that are physical, they're psychological, they're hormonal.
Well,
These
that's
are
kind
profound differences.
But that's kind of the point about drawing racial distinctions, is that you're really the same. And obviously biologically...
That's my point.
That's not your point, Tucker. Your point was not one woman can kick Chris Cuomo's ass. That's a very specific point. If you had kept it to generalized statements, then you would have a point. But you ruined it by making it personal. Let this be a lesson to everyone. When you have to make it personal, you only undermine yourself. I do so solemnly wish more people understood this.
Biologically, you're different, but what I'm saying, I don't see it as a less than. Can women lift as much weight as men on average? Of course not.
That is less than. Not as much is less than. I know less isn't necessarily worse, but it is necessarily less. So people like to say that little adage, less is more, but it literally isn't. When people say less is more, they mean to say less is better, but they're doing it by substituting better with more in the implicit assumption that more is better. They're trying to say less is better by saying more is better. It's what we call a deepity. It sounds whimsically profound until you realise it's paradoxically nonsensical and a complete waste of breath. I don't know why I let the little things annoy me so much. Probably because it's funny.
No. I'm making
different
the
physical
opposite
capabilities.
argument. It's not less than. I like women better. And I think that my job, all of our jobs as men, is to treat women differently, and better than we treat men.
It's just all so tiresome.
That is the idea. Oh, that's chivalry. Yeah, okay, honey. Good luck in a world without it.
Through a medieval lens, it's called chivalry. Through a Roman lens, it's called romance. Through a modern lens, it's called feminism. They're all just contemporary variations on the theme of women are better than men. It ushered the collapse of the Roman Empire, and now it's ushering the collapse of this one. Good luck with it, honey.
And I'm serious.
No, you're silly. On second thought, let us not go to Camelot. 'Tis a silly place.
If you got into an argument, and I know you well enough to know, if you're standing in a restaurant and someone's like, fuck you, Chris Cuomo, you'd punch him out. If a woman did that...
Depends where my cash flow is. I really don't have a lot of capital right now.
You would want to. You're quick with the punches.
I would definitely want to.
I happen to know that.
Thank you both so very much for giving me the opportunity to express the following rant in the context of a video, albeit a tangent. Don't take it personally. I'm not talking to these two right now. I'm talking to you lot. Earlier this week, Elon Musk posted this on Twitter, and it sparked my interest for reasons I'll explore presently. Trying to help people understand what's going on right now is like going back into a burning building to pull someone out, only to have them keep punching you in the face and demand evidence that the building is on fire, even after they admit they can see the flames. See what that is? It's a metaphor. Well, simile, I guess, which is like a metaphor. It's very common to use being punched in the face as a metaphor for something else. It's to elevate an idea, to emphasize how bad it would be if it were not just abstract but physically actualized into concrete reality. Normally that's a step you have to take from one realm to another in order to help people understand. Because everyone understands how punching someone in the face is uncontroversially wrong, especially when unprovoked. Does anyone see where I'm going with this? Many people believe, not just metaphorically, but literally and sincerely believe, that men need to be punched in the face, or else they're not real men. Again, not a metaphor, actually already in the realm of concrete reality. People say this and mean it, and you have to wonder how the fuck they intend to raise their sons. They'll say this, and then they'll go, what? I don't hate men. That's not misandry. You should punch men in the face. It's a truism. I know I sound like Antifa talking about Nazis, but that's just this thing. Come on, man. Get defeated already. You might think that being good at physical combat is what makes a man, but no, it's being bad at it. So bad that you lose. See, a man who has successfully defended himself in 100 fights, maybe even defended his family in the process, and he's done it so proficiently that no one has ever landed a blow on him, let alone on his family. Oh, hell no, that guy's a pussy. Boo this man. But a man who has started 100 fights and lost every single one of them, oh my God, what a giga chad. You're 100 times more of a man than that shitbird over there will ever be. Well fucking done. Let's go round again. You're so manly. You're so fucking real. This is mental, people. No one's intrinsic genetic identity should be held hostage over the condition of physical violence. When you sound out for any other demographic, you realize how evil it is. You think it's normal for men, but that's not because it's normal. It's because it has been normalized. I mean, we are evolved to live in the Stone Age. Do you think Stone Age men thought it was a normalized rite of passage to get punched in the face? Of course fucking not. Why would you risk losing a bunch of teeth just because some dickhead will call you a fairy if you don't? We need our teeth to fucking eat things. You know, well, it's fine, just go to a dentist. Men have always had dentists, haven't they? Don't prevent problems, just get someone else to cure them. Yeah, now who's the fairy? Now who's the fucking fairy, cunt? How are you reacting to what I'm saying right now? How are you spinning this in your brain? And how does it translate when we relate it back to that metaphor we were just looking at? No, you see, the building's not on fire. This is fine. I can see the flames, yes. In fact, I'm encouraging the flames. I would like to see more of them. And I will literally punch you in the face. After all, a building isn't a real building unless it's been sufficiently burned. But that doesn't mean the building is on fire. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, it's not a big deal. And if it is, it's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. To conclude, the narcissist's prayer does not magically become a perfectly reasonable thesis just because the people it's victimizing are male. This is why our civilization is collapsing. Snap the fuck out of it already. Cunts. For everyone who has inexorably found themselves making it personal, despite what I said earlier, let's do this. Do you think I've ever been punched in the face? Well, I haven't. I'm just going to let you mull that over. I'm just going to let it percolate around your conscience for a few seconds. What are you thinking? Huh? Are you thinking, well, that explains a few things? Oh, really? What does that explain about me? Those things you think I am? Those things you think I've done? Yeah? Well, I was lying. I have been punched in the face. More than once. And evidently it didn't save me from all those things you were attributing to me just now. Where does that leave your little fucking theory? Is it at all possible that being punched in the face caused me to have all those issues you were attributing to me just now? Nah. Being assaulted can only possibly have positive effects on a man. You don't even need your teeth. You just need to be punched in the face. Cunts. Absolute cunts. You're the one with the problem. Sort it out. Can you tell how accustomed I've become to being able to second guess what happens in the comment sections?
If a woman got way up in your face, you would know exactly.
I wouldn't.
Exactly.
I suppose a counter-argument might be giving someone compassion makes them weaker. If that's the case, then why do you exercise so much compassion for women? Do you want women to be weaker? Or do you know you're talking bullshit? You're fully aware that compassion does actually help people. You just don't feel like giving it to men. I suppose that's fair enough. Your compassion is thine to do with as you please. But if we could do away with all the bullshit gaslighting and be honest with each other, yeah, that'd be great.
So it is a bigger sin, not just against her, but against yourself and your dignity and your responsibility as a man. Your job is to protect women.
I'll give you the gender.
Period.
I would have thought your job is to protect your family. Your duty, I should say, to protect your family. You can protect your family. It is within your feasible abilities to protect your family, including your brothers and your sons and what have you. In any other context, Tucker, you'd be telling us your duty is to your family. Period. I don't know if you're just saying this for the sake of this argument or if it's a revealed preference, but now you're saying it's the job of a man as an individual to protect women as a collective. It's not possible, Tucker. There's 4 fucking billion of them. And all they need in order to protect themselves on an equal footing is a ranged weapon. Like the great equalizer that is the gun. The fuck is the point in the Second Amendment if we're just going to pretend we never even invented the bow and arrow? Or that men and women can protect each other?
I don't see it exactly the same way.
Because you don't want to admit it. You're telling me some girl's going to kick your ass, and you know that's not true.
Hold on. There are women who could, okay? There's no...
Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano, just to name the 2 that everyone's heard of. There's a whole fucking bunch of them and you know it. You're just pretending they can't possibly exist. And no, they are not the exception that proves the rule. They are the exception that you are specifically asking for, Tucker. Cuomo's not going to name them because he's trying to out-simp you, and he's losing.
Question in my mind. There are all these professional fighters and women who train in self-defense who will beat my ass. I'm a 53-year-old guy.
How many female fighters have gone against male fighters there?
He's not a UFC fighter, Tucker. He's Chris fucking Cuomo. Put down the goalposts.
Roughly the same.
Very rare. Although, did you see that girl who just won the high school wrestling championship? That was cool.
It must have been a light. Well, look,
she was in the boy. It was lightweight, but
they're extraordinary
they fight
female
women. It's
athletes.
unfair. By weight and muscle.
But it's not just unfair; it's immoral. It's totally wrong.
I don't know that it's immoral. If a woman
it's not
feels,
immoral, then why don't we have a Violence Against Women's Act?
Why do you have a Violence Against Women Act? Gee, I don't know, Tucker. Why don't you ask its architects? Why don't you ask Joseph R. Biden?
If the
why do we specify in law that it's worse?
Hold on.
And just like that, Joe Biden is we. That's how quickly it can go from I did that to we did that. And it can only possibly be for unavoidably good reasons. Fuck you, Tucker. The reason you have a Violence Against Women Act and not even a Violence Against Children Act, never mind a Violence Against Men Act, is because Joe Biden and his cronies despise men. Actively and viciously, they despise men. It's not enough that men get punched in the face. These shitbags need to enshrine it in law that men get punched in the face and then get arrested if they defend themselves. They don't give a shit about children either, because children don't vote. These shysters get votes by pandering to the inflated fears, neuroses, and paranoid delusions of misandric lunatics, especially female ones. It's the path of least resistance when it comes to preying on the naive emotional excesses of human nature. Case in point, not even you, one of Joe Biden's fiercest critics, have any interest in resisting his cynical tyranny. Not when it happens to suit you, sir. Evidently, it's not enough for every man to have a duty to protect women in this one-way street of accountability. The government needs to do it as well. Jesus fucking wept, my dude.
But there's a through line.
Yeah.
You have violence against women because you have a cultural preset of victimizing women and putting them in positions that are inferior.
Like assuming they can't defend themselves, despite the guns. Like assuming they are defenseless, despite the fucking government.
And it was important enough that society decided to punish it extra.
No, it's not it's illegal to be as, fair to women act. It's not the illegal to...
Should be.
Maybe.
You should have that also.
Maybe.
Yeah, we should have the it's illegal to be unfair to women act, but not the it's illegal to be unfair to men act, because that would be unfair.
Because
but
there's
it's
gender
the
inequality.
Violence against
because
women.
You have a culture of where men, you know what the rule of thumb is?
No fucking way. Is he really going to do this?
The rule of thumb comes from British common law.
Okay.
Of you can beat your wife with anything that's not thicker than your thumb.
Actually...
Now he definitely is lying, Tucker. That is a lie. Always has been. Or at the very least, misinformation. It's a baseless piece of propaganda that was fabricated in order to demonize men and strike fear and hatred into women to manipulate them. I covered this 8 years ago when Joe Biden said it. Are you going to correct him, Tucker? Or are you just going to gingerly let it slide because it happens to suit the narrative you're both trying to push?
It's a stupid culture.
The British Empire is the empire that stopped widow burning in India. There was no force for female liberation more powerful than the British Empire, ever.
Above all, what the British Empire brought the world was prosperity. Women's liberation happens as a byproduct of prosperity, not the other way around for anyone to whom that had not occurred.
Until the American Empire showed up and inverted it and started telling women true liberation is working for some soulless company that hates you and will pay for your insurance to freeze your eggs so you can put off what you really want to do in life and work for us. That's not...
And those cultures that do incentivize women to stay home and have children, I suppose that's also misogynist oppression. Because our culture does that too. Our governments do that too. They incentivize women to do anything they want. At all times. At the bottomless expense of men. Either directly through their wallets or indirectly through taxes. And it's never good enough. The more we protect women, the more we're forced to protect women and shepherd them through their every impulsive whim, the more grievances they develop. Much like a spoiled child. The more you spoil them, the more spoiled they become. That's why we call it spoiled. And no, I'm not saying women are children. If we spoiled men in the same way, the same thing would happen to them. But we don't. We punch them in the fucking face. The problem could easily be treated if we just opened up like a bus lane alongside this one-way street, this multi-lane highway on which women get everything and men get nothing. We could begin to solve this, even with the narrowest of bicycle lanes going in the other direction, on which anyone is permitted to even give a dingleberry of a shit about men. But as you can see, even people who are political mortal enemies are nevertheless on the same page. Every corner, every avenue of the political compass is infected with this contagion, where men's rights are always the problem and women's rights are always the solution. Can they all be wrong? Yes! You are all wrong.
Liberation is choice. Is that you get to make your own choices. People don't make them for you.
Well,
did you just blow off my point?
Well, I did to this extent. Of course, liberation is choice, but these are choices that individuals don't get to make, like how's your economy structured?
Men don't get the choice of raising their own children, as and when women simply don't want them to. It's not just the economy, stupid.
And as Elizabeth Warren...
there are structural things that take away your choice. That is true.
You think? The inability to raise children on a single income?
Unbelievable.
Is like the biggest change in American society.
But when you propose something like family leave or allowing men or women to be able to be there with the newborn, nobody wants to give them money for it.
Men to be there with the newborn?
Yeah.
Huh.
Or ever?
Other countries, what, you didn't spend time with your kids when they were first born?
Of course I did, and I have a lot of children. But I know for a fact, not as a matter of theory, that a child needs two parents and that each parent brings something vital but different to parenting.
If you want men to protect and preserve their children, then maybe you should protect and preserve men. See, it doesn't have to be a line. It can be a circle.
But the one thing I definitely know is that there's not one man on the planet who knows intuitively what to do with a newborn.
I'm assuming that's an exaggeration again. As a generalized statement, it is a general trend, but you have this rhetorical compulsion to say not one on the entire planet, right?
There's a period for the first several months that if you're not a woman, you are not comfortable making the right choices for a newborn. That's just true. And if you can find a man who's totally comfortable around a newborn the way any 5-year-old girl is, then I will give you $1,000. Because you can't. It's like finding the girl who can beat you up. You can't.
Why do people have pet cats but not pet cougars? Why do people have pet dogs but not pet coyotes? It's because coyotes cannot even develop a learned understanding of the importance of not killing and eating human babies, let alone an intuitive understanding of it. It's not just that they haven't been domesticated, it's that they can't be domesticated. A coyote looks at a human baby and they think, snack. They can't not think it. This is one of the extraordinary things about cats and dogs. Even massive dogs that could eat an entire baby in 2 bites, they somehow understand that they're not supposed to do that. Even if it's the first time they've ever encountered one, they seem to have an intuitive understanding to look after human babies, to be gentle with them, to be tender with them, to play with them, to snuggle up with them, to keep them safe from predators, and even to share their food with them if, for whatever reason, no one else will. I'm sure you know this, Tucker. I'm sure when push comes to shove, you can acknowledge that even dogs, the vast majority of dogs, have an intuitive understanding of what to do with a newborn baby, but apparently not one man does!
Because there isn't one.
I'm telling you.
And so the truth is the difference between men and women, no one wants to admit it because we're like, oh.
It's not that.
It's not totally that.
Look.
And you appear to be thrilled to be saying this.
I'm telling you.
Our whole conversation is, we're like in a hammerlock. There's a tiny percentage of the U.S. population, which is an overwhelming percentage of the Democratic electorate, which is unhappy, unmarried women, and they control what everyone can say.
The Democratic electorate is roughly half of the country. An overwhelming percentage of that would therefore be at least 25% of the country, which isn't exactly a tiny percentage. I get that you're being rhetorical, I just don't think you've really thought it through. And yeah, single women are generally among the worst offenders when it comes to misandry. That rather stands to reason, but like I said, it's not just one corner of the political compass that's affected by this misandric contagion. It's everyone except a tiny percentage. You're all rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, having ignored that one guy who tried to warn you about the iceberg.
And they don't want to have the conversation, and they're like, oh, you hate women. Yeah, I hate women. I don't think I do. The people who think it's okay to punch them in the face.
Extraordinary.
The people who don't punish rapists, the people who allow you to be afraid on the subway, those people hate women. The ones who are telling you, forgo your family to work at Citibank, those people hate you.
See what I mean? This is the state of modern politics now. I don't hate women, you hate women. No, you hate women. Everyone hates women except me and my friends. And I can't wait for society to collapse so my ideology can rise from the ashes. It already did, bruh. It already did. A society in which men get the slightest whiff of gratitude for anything they do collapsed a bloody long time ago. And this nonsense rose from the ashes.
Obviously.
There are definitely people that hate women. There is a real thing. There is definitely a cultural problem we have in terms of allowing.
We love you so much.
Surely abortion is what people do when they hate children, Tucker. When they give women anything they ask for, up to and including murdering children. We prioritize women's convenience over children's lives, and apparently we still hate women.
Allowing women to have the same exercise of options that men have. And we know this. And there are different ways to correct it, and sometimes you go too far and in the wrong directions.
That's a very reasonable thing Chris just said, Tucker. Can you give him any credit for that?
But I don't think there's anything wrong.
But it's always the same direction. It's always the give up your family. If you read any survey of women, what do they want? They want a lot of different things. We all do.
They want power over men. With or without families, they want power over men. If women don't want families, they can kill them. If they do want families, they can get them all to themselves at men's expense. When has it gone too far? If this, right now, isn't too far, then what on God's green earth is?
But men want that too. Didn't you get married to have kids?
No. I got married because...
You didn't want to start a family?
Not really, no. But I got engaged at 21.
Yeah, you were very young.
Yeah, I was super young, and I was.
And
also,
you guys had been together.
Well, I was also especially shallow, and I got married because I really liked my wife, and I thought she was hot.
Your personal life is none of my business. Let's move on.
And so I married her, and she was the one who was like, we should have children. And I was like, oh, that's good. Whatever. It's not even interesting.
Well,
but
she had to be thinking, what am I going to get out of this?
Well,
like this was, I'm a Christian, so I'm stuck. But this is not what I thought.
I think there's possibly some truth in that.
Christianity is not going to save you either, by the way. No religion can save you from gynocentrism. By the time any cult has grown into a religion, it has already succumbed to the aforementioned path of least resistance. The only viable path is resistance. It's the way we keep pushing this column up and this column down. That's the problem. I don't exactly know how we make the problem better, but if you want to make it worse, keep doing that.
But the point is, if you ask women what they want, the overwhelming majority will say, I want to be married and have children. And
you don't think men want that also?
Yeah, they may do. I mean, I did, and ultimately...
That's why I got married.
100%. I'm talking specifically about women.
I really wasn't expecting Cuomo to be the less insane one. Life throws you a curveball sometimes. Go figure.
They want to be married and have children, and that is the thing that the Democratic Party prevents them from having through policy.
Bullshit, Tucker. The Democratic Party subsidizes any decision women can dream of making. In the meantime, it keeps them terrified of and furiously angry about men. That's what's ruining their lives. It's the same as the Republican Party, but above the speed limit.
And the reason they do that is because the single most important constituency, as you well know, is not black voters. They always say that it's black voters. No, it's unmarried women of all races.
It's women of all races. They're also interested in married women because married women can get divorced, and that is $1 trillion treasure trove.
And so they do a lot of different things to discourage marriage and fertility. One of them is paying single moms not to be married. Another is constantly promoting anti-fertility measures like abortion and birth control.
Yeah, they pay women to be mothers, and they pay women not to be mothers. They pay women no matter what they do, Tucker, and they pay them with the money and resources they steal from men. And you have no hope of changing this as long as you are pushing on the exact same open door. I can't take this anymore. Yes, I can. Be strong, Mike.
They actively work to prevent women from forming families. And I think that's evil. And I don't think it serves women at all. That's my view.
See what I tell you? He's now taking us on the family's the most important thing train. Tucker, men do have a duty to protect and provide for their families, and they would love nothing more than to do so, but they are not allowed to. Not in any hands-on capacity, because of the political entities you are complaining about. You're complaining that those entities actively work to prevent women from forming families when they do nothing of the sort. They actively work to prevent men from forming families, or even being in one. They actively work to deny men the benefits of having a family, and to deny men the benefits of anything that serves their own interests, and anything that does not serve the interests of women, because they hate men, Tucker. And they are trying to protect women from men. If you don't like that crack, then for the love of all that is true, for the love of all that is just, all that is pure, all that is lovely, all that is of good report, if there be any virtue and there be any praise, if you don't like that crack, then stop smoking it. All right, that's all, folks. Don't hit like, don't hit subscribe, don't hit the notification bell. None of it does anything. But please do become a patron or a subscribe star thingy. I am having some serious trouble making ends meet at this point. Perhaps I could fix that by being less lazy, but every time I publish a video on this channel, YouTube removes another 30 subscribers, on top of the 70 that it removes every month no matter what. So if I published a video every day, I would have 0 subscribers in about 2 years. So my laziness is tied directly and proportionally to my longevity. It's a rather demoralizing state of affairs, no doubt by design, and no one gives a shit. But it's fine, you don't have to give a shit, I get it. Giving a shit is cringe, so whatever. Live your own life as best you can. Please follow me on Rumble and BitChute and Odyssey while you still can before those platforms get destroyed by the so-called TikTok ban. Until we meet again, friends, in this life or the next.